Ramadan is the month of dua. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala inserted the ayah of dua between the ayat of siyam. Between the ayat of siyam, Allah says, إِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي عَنِّي فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ أُجِيبُ دَعْوَةَ الدَّاعِ إِذَا دَعَانِ فَلْيَسْتَجِيبُوا لِي وَلْيُؤْمِنُوا بِي لَعَلَّهُمْ يَرْشُدُونَ. In between the ayat of siyam, Allah brought the dua. Why? Because the Prophet ﷺ says, لِلصَّائِمِ دَعْوَةٌ لَا تُرَدْ. The one who's fasting has a dua which never be rejected. Meaning his dua is accepted, answered, as long as he is fasting. As long as he is fasting. And even when he breaks his iftar, also his dua is accepted. And we all know that when the Imam finishes the recitation of the witr and goes for ruku and raise up, then he starts making dua. That is time for dua. Yeah, it's not supposed to be long dua, but it is time for dua. So Ramadan is month of dua. How to prepare for it? From now. From Sha'ban, you start making it your normal procedure of life to make dua. Keep your tongue with dua. Ramadan is a month of dhikr as well. Month of dhikr. Because when you wake up for your sahur, you take your sahur meal, then you have to do dhikr. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَبِالْأَسْحَارِ هُمْ يَسْتَغْفِرُونَ. And in the time of sahar, meaning before fajr, they keep seeking for forgiveness. And when you want to break your iftar, you also do adhkar. Other than the adhkar which is always with you, you have to do them. Like the day and night, sleeping, awakening, entering, exiting, etc. So the month of Ramadan is month of dua, dhikr. So from now, you prepare for Ramadan by getting familiar to dhikr. As the Prophet ﷺ said to the man, when he said, Ya Rasulullah, the legislations of Islam are so many for me to do. So guide me to something. If I do, Allah will let me Jannah, and don't give me much. He said, let your tongue be wet with the dhikr of Allah. With the dhikr of Allah. So, you want to prepare for Ramadan. This is some of the ways of how to prepare. Don't miss them. Don't miss them. So that you can get the most advantage from this coming Ramadan. And to find yourself in Ramadan much more better in Iman, in sincerity, in honesty, in certainty, in good manners and etiquettes and behaviors, because it is He, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who changes people from behavior to behavior. And He, Allah Ta'ala, said, وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ وَيُعَلِّمُكُمُ اللَّهُ. And fear Allah, and Allah will teach you. And when Allah teaches you, it means that Allah will make you qualified to learn things even without teachers. So, my brothers and sisters, we have still a good chance to receive Ramadan in a best way. And we have to take this opportunity because it is a gift from Allah. And the more we accept of the gifts of Allah, the more Allah will provide us of these gifts. But the most important thing that we have to prepare for in receiving Ramadan is correcting our iman, freeing it from anything that can nullify it or weakening it, like relying upon deceased, whether they are awliya or prophets or angels or whatever, and keep your rely to Allah. Whatever you want, you ask Him. Whatever you feel, you seek refuge with Him. That is the meaning of إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. And also, the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. From now, you have to free all your worships from anything that is not upon the way of Rasulullah ﷺ. You have now to review your ibadat, your way of worship. Are they according to the Sunnah or not? If not, don't let Ramadan be a witness against you. So now you change, now you correct. As in Ramadan, the reward is doubled and the sins are magnified. We have to be careful. And we have to avoid those things that damage our fast. But this need preparation, need exercise from now. Fasting and listening to music, that's a corrupt. Fasting and looking to women in the street, on the social media, on TV, whatever. Fasting and backbiting and slandering. Fasting and insulting and cursing. Fasting and arguing and fighting. Fasting and cheating and deceiving. All this may take big portion of your reward of Ramadan. So you have to be careful. And because it cannot be just out of second you change, then Sha'ban is a good chance for you. Exercise from now to avoid all these things. Exercise from now to be grateful and dutiful to your parents. Go back to them. See what they need. Even if they don't need anything, try to please them. Have good relation with your relatives, neighbors, friends. Try to be a good member in Ramadan in the masjid. Spend as much as you can of the time in the masjid. And help the masjid. Help the masjid even if no one asks you. If you see order, put things in order, set up the place, clean something in the masjid, even if it is the toilets. Don't say, oh, it's not my level. La akhi. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was sleeping in the middle of the day or after dhuhr, and when he woke up, he looked for a woman, was black woman in Medina, no relatives, nothing, and she voluntarily used to clean the masjid. No one asked her. When he didn't see her, he asked the Sahaba, where is she? They said she died while you were in the rest, and we did not want to disturb you. So we did the funeral and prayed the janazah and buried her. So why didn't you wake me up? Show me her grave. And he went there and he done the janazah prayer there on her. Why? Not because she's black, not because she's poor, not because she's alone, no. Because she was serving the masjid voluntarily from her own. That means iman, deep iman inside her heart pushed her to do so. So, my brothers and sisters, even sisters, you can do many things from your home. If the masjid are doing iftar, make your house iftar a bit more than normal, so you send some, even little, to the masjid. And that would be great reward for you, your husband, and even your children. And it would be a blessing to your house. May Allah Ta'ala make us from those who receive Ramadan correctly and be in it real believers and worshippers who are accepted. One last thing I end up with is Ramadan is the only month. Three things happened in it and never happened in any other times. All the gates of the Jannah are opened. All the gates of the fire are closed. All the shayateen are chained. What does that mean? Mercy. So show mercy if you need mercy. Show mercy from one another. Show mercy to your brothers and sisters. Be merciful. Be kind. Be gentle. Forgive. Forgive. And Allah Ta'ala will treat you much more than what you give. والله تعالى أعلم وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه. أيوة عشان كده أنا
جزاكم الله خيرا وبارك الله فيك. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward our Shaykh for those beautiful words
Ameen.
and pieces of advice. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala count it amongst his good deeds on the Qiyamah. Ameen. So Bismillah ta'ala, we're going to take inshallah a question and answer session Bismillah. So if you have any questions, please raise your hand and ask your question in a loud voice, and so the Shaykh Bismillah can answer. Jazakumullah khair.
Okay, you know when we talked about reading the Quran on the night time, we're trying to understand it as well. So would it be better for us who can't understand Arabic to read it in Arabic, but then to also read the translation as well?
You want to say the question? Yeah, better.
So the question inshallah is, for those who read the Quran, is it also good to read it in English as well, so that we don't, if we don't know the meaning, of course, read it in English as well? Are we rewarded to do that in the question now?
The reward for reading Quran, which the Prophet ﷺ mentioned, that every single letter you will be given hasana for. That is when you read the speech of Allah. The translation is not the speech of Allah. Exactly like when you read the tafsir is not the speech of Allah. Exactly like when you read Bukhari and Muslim, that is not the speech of Allah. Even the Hadith Qudsi, in which Rasulullah says, Allah said, like in the Hadith of Abu Hurairah and Sahih al-Bukhari, Hadith, he said, Prophet ﷺ said, قال الله تعالى من عادى لي وليا فقد آذنته. But although this is speech of Allah, but reciting it does not give you the reward which Rasulullah mentioned. That is only when you recite the Quran itself. Even if it is difficult for you to pronounce. As the Prophet ﷺ said, the one who recites the Quran fluently, he will be with the angels. And the one who struggles in recitation and does his best, he will be given double reward. But nothing wrong to read the translation of the interpretation in any language. But don't prevent yourself the reward of reading the Quran itself. Read it. Those who do not know how to read at all, it is good to listen to a reciter and repeat after him. This is also one way of reading. This is one way of reading. Is it or not? Is it? What is your proof?
I remember reading something from one of the scholars. He said, the listener gets the same reward as the one reciting.
Good, but this is not a proof. It is true, but not the proof. They said it based on the proof. Huh? Anybody? MashaAllah. The Prophet ﷺ he was illiterate. He did not know how to read. And Jibreel used to come to the Prophet ﷺ every night, and they sit and they recite the Quran. Right. So listen and repeat. Listen and repeat. No.
Any more questions, John?
Ask a question. Said, you know, in the Tarawih, you read the Tarawih. After Tarawih, you go home and read the Quran. Night prayer, after Tarawih, you go loud.
The question is the night prayer after Salat Tarawih allowed, inshallah?
What is the Taraweeh, what is the night prayer? It's the same thing. It is a prayer in the night. Call it Taraweeh, call it Tahajjud, call it Qiyamul Layl. It's all the same. It's all the same. Any prayer from Isha to Fajr, that is called Qiyamul Layl. If you pray with the Imam and you want to continue, you want to add more, you think that I'm still having some energy I want to add, then don't do like those people who miss the reward of praying with the Imam. The Prophet ﷺ said, من قام خلف إمامي حتى ينصرف كتب له قيام ليلة. Whoever stands behind his Imam until the Imam leaves, then he would be given the reward of standing the whole night. And until the Imam leaves means until he finishes the witr. Many people, when the Imam does the witr, they do it shafa', not witr. And they think that they followed the Imam. No, that's not following the Imam. Because the Prophet ﷺ said, إِنَّمَا جُعِلَ الْإِمَامُ لِيُؤْتَمَّ بِهِ. The Imam is assigned so to be followed exactly like the army leader. And when you, after he makes taslim from his witr, you stand up to make it shafa', so that when you go back home, you pray, that's not correct. But you do witr with him, and if you go home and you find that you are still and having power to pray 2 rakat, no problem. No problem. As to what I believe, night prayer has no limit of number. If the Jama'ah pray 11 and they finish like in 1 hour or 2 hours, and you go home and you say that I'm still strong, I need to pray, no problem. Pray 2 rakat. But you need to take the advice of Rasulullah ﷺ to Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As. When Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As used to stand the whole night, and he used to fast whole days, the Prophet ﷺ said to him, your Lord has right, your body has right, your family has right, your guests has right, then give everyone his right. So, try to balance, and inshallah you will be highly rewarded. Wallahu a'lam. Take from the sisters.
So we have one question from the sisters. So if all the gates of the hellfire are closed, if you die in Ramadan, will you go straight to Jannah?
If your iman is sahih, your iman is sahih, and you die in Ramadan, you go to Jannah. As the Prophet ﷺ, As-Sadiq al-Masduq said. Now,
another question is, what do you advise a woman who she has some fasts from the past Ramadan, but due to her being pregnant, she cannot make those fasts up, and then this Ramadan she will miss the fast again because of breastfeeding. When should she make up the fast?
the opinion I hold is that the woman in pregnancy and breastfeeding does not need to compensate these days with days, but with feeding a poor or needy for each day. That is the opinion of number of the Sahaba. If she is pregnant or breastfeeding, then all what she needs to do is to feed a needy for each day. Wallahu a'lam.
Also, is Salat al-Tarawih bid'ah? Because Umar radiallahu anhu, he said regarding the Tarawih, this is a good bid'ah.
Did Umar say this is good bid'ah? Umar said ni'matul bid'ah, but in linguistic meaning. And what did Umar say that about? He didn't say it about Salat al-Tarawih, la. He said it in regard to have them all behind one imam. Because they used to pray group here with one imam, group here with one imam, group here with one imam. Then he gathered them all behind Ubay ibn Ka'b. Then he said, Ni'matul bid'atu hadih. And bid'atu means no one before him gathered them like that. Not as a bid'ah in the religion, la. Linguistically. In the Arabic language, anything new they say bid'ah. Badi'u samawati wal ard, meaning the one who had created the heavens and earth for no previous example. So it is bid'ah, jadid, new. But when it relates to the religion, that is dalala. There is no bid'ah hasana. And what Umar said, bid'ah is not Salat al-Tarawih, la. That's wrong understanding. Because they were praying Tarawih, but different jama'at in one masjid. So he gathered them all behind one imam. That's all what he did. Wallahu a'lam.
We'll take a couple of more last questions from the Buddhist side, inshallah. Anybody have a question?
The hadith which relates to the dua of the fasting, is that only inside Ramadan, or is it the optional fasting as well?
So the dua that we recite for breaking the fast in Ramadan, can we recite the same dua? For
Making dua the
Accepted. Yeah.
the accepted dua.
Yeah.
Wait, can you do that for the voluntary fast?
Is that the same ruling outside of the?
So is it the same ruling as
The hadith where the Prophet ﷺ said, لِلصَّائِمِ دَعْوَةٌ لَا تُرَدْ, doesn't mean only Ramadan. Saim, any time in the year. You are fasting, you have dua, would never be rejected. But imagine you are fasting and it is Jum'ah after Asr and it is raining and it is Ramadan and maybe you are in Medina or Mecca. Yani mashallah, many reasons for it to be accepted, which only one of them is enough, but see many. And always, always, always include your parents. If they are alive, whether Muslims or non-Muslims, include them. If they passed away and they were Muslims, include them. If they were not Muslims, you can't do anything for them. No. But try always to include your parents in your du'as. No.
last question, inshallah. Anybody have any questions? Last question.
If the Prophet of Allah, outside in Ramadan and outside, if he had, let's say, 11 or 13 rakat of Qiyam al-Layl, be reading 20 rakat be bid'ah?
So the Prophet ﷺ in the month of Ramadan and outside the month of Ramadan would pray 11 rak'at or 13 as some narrations mentioned. Praying 20, would that be an innovation? Would that be a bid'ah?
No, it is not bid'ah. No, it is not bid'ah. Imam Malik, the Imam of Dar al-Hijrah, he said, we found the people of Medina. It doesn't mean that he came from outside. He is from Medina. But he said, and he was born there, and when he started understanding and realizing, said we found the people there praying 36 rak'at. So as Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah said in his book Al-Fatawa, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not limit a number for the night prayer rak'at. There is no single hadith that he sallallahu alaihi wasallam said pray 11 or 13 or 20 or whatever. But Aisha radiallahu anha, she described what she saw from him, that he used to pray. She said that he never used to pray more than 11 rak'at in Ramadan or outside Ramadan. Right? So this does not mean more than 11 is bid'ah. She didn't see him doing, but she didn't say that I heard him saying don't pray more than that. So better to be 11, but what 11? 11 as she described. She said he used to pray 4. Don't ask about the beauty of it and the length of it. And then he prays 4. Don't ask about the beauty of it and the length of it. And then prays 3. Meaning 4, yani 2 and 2, then rest. 2 and 2 and then rest. So it's not just, we look to the number. No. We look to the number and look to the number of the rak'at and the way of how he sallallahu alaihi wasallam performed them. As Ibn Mas'ud, as I told you, that Ibn Mas'ud prayed behind him in 1 rak'ah. He read Surah Al-Baqarah full, all, complete. Then An-Nisa, then he returned to Al Imran. All these 3 surahs, the longest surahs in the Quran, in 1 rak'ah. And today the people, I can't accept from the Imam to lead long time in the masjid. People, some old, some busy, some sick, some people passed by and they wanted to get the ajr and barakah, and if you pray by your own, then up to you. Pray as long as you want. Don't exceed the 11 and pray until just before Fajr. نعم والله أعلم.
جزاكم الله خير. بارك الله فيكم. And بإذن الله